Perfect that accused the Imperial March at that time.
I was like, wow.
That was not done in post, folks. Our Star Wars game is now playing the Imperial March when I get to that point. Polarization and populism, the rise of populist leaders, and the increased political polarization in many countries echo some aspects of the pre-World War II era. Populist leaders often employ nationalistic rhetoric and may flirt with xenophobic and anti-Semitic sentiments to galvanize their base, creating a divided and potentially volatile political landscape. So one of the things that Hitler did, and did very well as a politician, was tune into people's hate. And he used hate as a motivator. And there are politicians today, not just in the United States, but primarily in the United States I'm referring to, who do exactly the same thing. They can pinpoint exactly what people want to hate or what they're prone to hate, and then just open up a can of it for them and use that to lead them around. And then all of a sudden you have this rabid group of literally mindless followers that will do anything for you if you feed that hatred.
Mm-hmm.
They'll even try and overthrow the most successful democracy in the history of the human race, all because you're teaching them to hate. What are your thoughts on that? How dangerous do you think that is, that the human mind can be that susceptible to that kind of transparent manipulation?
I think it's very scary, and that's is just looking at the past few years, how much more that it's become acceptable for that to happen, and that there aren't more people out there going, what are you, nuts? That's not where, that's what just kind of blows my mind. And these educated people that are just letting it happen, that aren't coming out and saying, no, don't do that. That's wrong. Because you still have these people saying, no, come this way. This is the right way. We're the right people. Everything's been stolen from you. We're going to give it back to you. But yet they haven't done anything to make it better for those other people. And some of them have woken up, but a lot of them are still drinking the Kool-Aid, I think. And it almost, there are days when it kind of makes you wonder, maybe I should just drink the Kool-Aid. Maybe
that's
then
dangerous.
No, and I get it. And that's where it almost makes you wonder, am I the crazy one? Maybe I'm not in reality. Everybody else is in the reality. Like, how can people let this happen and everybody think it's okay and nobody's standing up to these people? It just makes you think, oh, well, then it must be me if nobody else is standing up for them, or nobody else thinks this is wrong.
Well, it's funny you put it that way, because it reminds me of an old Three Stooges skit. And it's, a takeoff on Nazis and Hitler and stuff. And the Moe declares himself a dictator. And one of the other Stooges says, well, what's a dictator? He says, well, a dictator, he promises the people everything, gives them nothing, then takes it all. And that's exactly what our politicians try to do on a regular basis to us.
Yeah.
And this was, a social commentary by comedians 80 years ago.
Right.
And we still haven't learned from it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
What is wrong with society that society allows this to keep happening?
Right. And granted, yes, there is good in the world. There are people out there who are trying to make a difference. But it just seems like you always knew there were still Nazis around. They never went away. They were just kind of quiet. They were just kind of, in the background. you knew when you traveled certain places, okay, we're going to bypass this area, or we're not going to go here if we're of a certain color or a certain race, or if we look a certain way because of whatever. Where now it's out in the open. They're not ashamed at all to fly a flag.
And that's the
promoting
thing. You make a very good point. They're not ashamed. There was a mark of shame to be a Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
And society wouldn't allow them to see light of day.
Right.
So anything that they did had to be backroom stuff, away from society.
If you had
and
a pin, you had it,
Right.
under your lapel. And, if you met somebody who you thought maybe,
Right.
Oh, okay. And then
It was the Hail Hydra type stuff.
Right. Right.
But now somehow in the last 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
society has been dragged into the gutter to allow these people to see the light of day.
You go
and
to
to flourish.
Disney World, and outside of the gates of Disney World, you would have protesters walking around with big giant banners with swastikas all over them. And
it's because society normalized it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
not all of society. Certain segments of
Mhm.
society. You had 4 years in this country that normalized it.
right.
You had 4 years in this country